China aims to become football superpower by 2050. China has unveiled a strategy to become a world football superpower by 2050 with plans to get 50 million children and adults playing the game by 2020. Other targets include having at least 20,000 football training centres and 70,000 pitches in place by 2020. While China excels at the Olympics and Paralympics, it has only ever qualified for one Football World Cup in 2002. Which was obviously held in Japan and South Korea. President Xi Jinping is a football enthusiast and previously said he wants China to win the World Cup in 15 years. The plan was published by the Chinese Football Association in Chinese last Monday. It sets out short-term, medium and long-term targets, ensuring there is one football pitch for every 10,000 people by 2030. The men's football team should become one of the best in Asia, while the female football team should be ranked as a world-class team by 2030, the plan said. By 2050, the report added, China should be a first-class football superpower that contributes to the international football world. I'm going to come back to that. China's men's team currently sits 81st in the FIFA World Rankings out of 204 nations, below far smaller nations such as Haiti, Panama and Benin. The Football League has been hit by corruption in recent years, with 33 players and officials banned in 2013 for match fixing, which we went through a couple of years ago, although efforts have been made to clean up the sport. One objective is to have 50 million of China's 1.357 billion people playing football by 2020, with 20,000 football training centres and 70,000 pitches by the same deadline. As we mentioned, the plan the plan sets the men's team the national team the target of being one of Asia's highest ranked teams by 2013 as well. Now, there's an interesting one there, but also in terms of new frontiers and setting up new initiatives, West Brom launched initiative with Indian Super League side Delhi Dynamos. West Bromwich Albion on the 15th of April 2016 announced that they've joined forces with Delhi Dynamos in a first of its kind partnership between a Premier League club and an Indian Super League side. The clubs will work in collaboration in the UK trade and industry, the New Delhi government and University of Wolverhampton on a grassroots initiative taking football to children at more than 2,000 schools in the wider Delhi region. A select group of students from the university will join West Brom coaches in travelling to India, where they will also help build the technical expertise of local coaches. The initiative feeds into Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision to take football to every village in the country as India gears up towards hosting next year's FIFA Under-17 World Cup. West Brom worked with Delhi last season when the former England youth international Adil Nabi joined the Dynamos, becoming the first Premier League player in history to move directly to the Indian Super League on loan. The ongoing partnership between the two teams also saw them cross-promote one another at their home grounds last season. Delhi promoted the signing of ex-Chelsea winger Florent Malouda, who played in the Indian capital last term, on the digital perimeter boards during last season's Monday Night Football clash with Manchester City at the Hawthorns. Delhi returned the favour to Delhi Dynamos by promoting the Baggies across their 60,000 capacity arena at the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium, the primary venue for the 2010 Commonwealth Games. We are delighted to team up once again with West Brom on this groundbreaking initiative, the Delhi Dynamos president Prashant Agarwal said to Sky Sports. At Delhi Dynamos, we've shown a great deal of ambition by bringing some of the household names of world football to the club in the past, such as Roberto Carlos, Alessandro Del Piero, John Onorisa and Florent Malouda. But ultimately, we want to develop homegrown talent who can go and become the next household name in world football. To do that, you need to develop football at the grassroots level. A tree cannot grow without strong roots. West Brom Sales and Marketing Director Adrian Wright added, we want to establish a legacy that leaves a lasting impression on Delhi and India. It should be a legacy that extols the values of West Bromwich Albion and, of course, hopefully brings new fans to our attention. But we are also developing our relationship with Delhi Dynamos all the time, and our message is clear. We're there to stay, and we want to help football develop, and through that improve the health and well-being of thousands of youngsters whose lives we can genuinely hope to change for the better. Now, you know what, Gezzie Fizzle, I want to ask you first your views on West Brom setting up an initiative with Indian Super League side Delhi Dynamos, especially the stuff at grassroots level. And China's aims to become a world football superpower by 2050, and their plans also pertaining to grassroots level as well. Your views?
Well, I think, West Brom's deal is fantastic because it's a cross-sports deal. And you know what? It reminds me a lot of what Motivate Sports and Fitness do. Right? Because, yes, it's related to football, but is it just about football? No, it's not. It's also about other sport. And what you may find is that you have a particular person who's talented in one sport who doesn't realize they have talents in another, who then goes on to discover that, and then they have a decision to make if they want to pursue it further on in terms of professional career, etc., etc. So it's only good for the children in the local area, young adults in the local area as well, because it's all about getting active. It's all about having at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day, and I don't see how anyone loses from that deal, especially in the wider community. In the wider community, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So for me, it gets a big thumbs up, and I'm looking forward to seeing other teams have similar associations. Like during the Super Bowl run for the Carolina Panthers, there was a link between them and Leicester City. There's a mutual admiration between those two teams. I don't know if there's going to be anything formal made out of that at any point. But, again, it's all about building connections through sport. And if you can join multiple sports together and get communities active, that's really the whole aim of the game. To get communities active. And as you say, if you happen to come across a future star in the process, bonus. If you're able to go and support both sports or any sport at grassroots level, bonus. So, for me, I don't see anybody losing in that deal. Going forward, and on to the China wanting to be a footballing superpower, I think it's a very, very feasible achievement for them. I don't think it's impossible at all. I think they can do it. If you look at what they're doing with the Super League at the moment, in terms of the money being spent and the players they allure in to go and play in the country at the moment, through the money, of course, then I would say to you, is it really that improbable and that implausible? It's not. It's not. If they're able to lure some of the top talents away from Europe to go and play in China, and as I say, this is mostly just to do with the money, then, provided that they also put the money into the infrastructure, which it looks like they want to do, again, I really don't see how that can't be done. I really don't. I think provided that the right people are in charge, then, yeah, can only go from strength to strength, in my opinion. And even though they've done it in reverse, so they've gone and they've had the league go and make all these big splash out signings, what needs to be said is that they have the right kind of ambition in place. They want to go and fortify the league with grassroots support and everything else. So, as I say, provided that the right people are involved and in charge, this could be huge, absolutely huge for sport, and that prediction may well come true. May well come true. And we're going to have a lot of homegrown Chinese stars, if that comes to fruition. And of course, the Super League will be even more attractive for foreign stars as well. So it depends on what kind of regulations they'll put in place. So I think early on you'll have very relaxed rules towards foreign players, but once it gets established and there's a steady influx of homegrown players, shall we say, you'll probably see that the laws will start to balance out. So unless a player is neutralized in terms of nationality, there'll probably be a rule of like maybe 3 foreign players in a squad, or 3 foreign players available to play on match days per team, to really balance out the league. And, it will only help the league go from strength to strength, in my opinion. So overall, do I think it's doable? Absolutely. Absolutely, I do.
I mean, it's one of them was Jamie Bailey. You wanted to jump in. You wanted to jump in on these two subjects as well, didn't you? About China aiming to become a footballing superpower by 2050, and West Brom launching an initiative with Indian Super League side Delhi Dynamos.
Yeah, well done to West Brom. I've seen some of their work in terms of the community, and they're really pulling it in for the Midlands, as well as obviously other teams like Leicester and I think even, I know this sounds a bit weird, but even Forest. So also kind of becoming a world brand in terms of football. That's the Champions League have already done that. So if they get to it by 2050, assuming that robots haven't replaced humans in football, by all means, do what you have to do. If it happens, then I would suggest that there's going to be a lot of changes made to how business is done again in football, and China will probably have a better economy. Or, as I said, if robots replace humans, then I guess we're going to see Beijing pretty much have the very first robotic match, where even the goal line technology is pretty much calling on the spot to the referee. So, or we're just going to see a whole bunch of Shaolin jumpers overhead kick the ball into the back of the net and saying it was off the line.
Are you trying to say that football's going to end up going like that film Shaolin Soccer?
It could.
I remember that film. It was funny.
I don't know. Right now, I'm just thinking that by 2050, the world could change into the point of where even when we're looking at even pitch talk is probably going to be on a big giant screen TV, which we all know is just be a normal look for us. It'll just be like, oh, okay, well, this is pitch talk, and we'll see you on Monday night, as well as Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It could. That's what all I'm saying is. That's what it could happen. Could get to. And I'd rather. I don't know. I think China are probably a bit like America, light years behind football in general. I mean, they could have. They've only just taken a mantelpiece up in world football only because it's making money. Did they really want to do this 10 years ago? Not really. They just made a league and hope for the best. Then South Korea gets involved. Oh, look, hang on, we need a bit of a competition. Same thing with the Americans. They saw that NFL was the only thing that they had going for them until they saw that the 94 World Cup generated a bit of money. So both countries are light years behind. And by the time they get, we might have Ronaldo playing at the age of 60 over in China by that time, and saying, you know what, it's not a charity match. This is actually a league match. So I just can't see it being anything that's worth talking about. I think it's just one of those things of, well done China, you're way behind. Welcome to football and business. You've got the business side of it down. The football bit, you're probably just going to have to kind of change your policy in terms of how many kids you can actually have in the family, if you want to have a decent powerhouse, as you call it, or a super brand of football.
You know what? Yeah, I think it's one of them ones where this whole thing is going to be actually pretty damn interesting, because taking these in order. China aiming to become a world football superpower by 2050. I actually think it's brilliant, and it's for a number of reasons. I think it's a good thing. Number one, the fact is they've said 2050. They've not come out in like 2013 or 2012 and said yeah, we're gonna win the World Cup we're gonna get to the semi-finals of a World Cup in 6 years and win it and win the whole thing in 10 or 12 at the time. This one of them was that. Remember Greg Dyke coming out and saying that with his aims a couple years ago? Dude came out and was like, yeah, we're gonna get to the semi-final in 2018 in Russia and win Qatar 2022. But he's never, and the thing that's frustrated me about RFA is the fact that he's never said, nah, it's not going to happen. The fact that he's come, in my view anyway, the fact that he's come out and said that, but he's basically not outlined how he's going to do it. Because when he came out and said that, I was like, okay, it's all good having that ambition, and we discussed this on PT Live when the announcement was made, but at the end of the day, how are you going to do it? Because dropping Premier League teams into and reserve teams into the John Stones Paint Trophy, no, that's a terrible idea. Premier League B teams in the Football League, no, terrible idea. Have you even got anything else? So it's one of them ones. These half-baked short-termist ideas are not going to get the job done. I love the fact China are one of them places. China and also India, just based on populations alone, just based on numbers, just based on pure numbers, they've got the numbers. The plans to get 50 million children and adults playing football by 2020. That's actually very realistic. Like you look at China. Look at China. 1.357 billion people are living in China. Having 50 million of them playing football within the next 4 years, it's actually a pretty good aim, to be perfectly frank. And if half of that is quality players, then they have got a massive talent pool. That is a potentially massive talent pool. Now I see the same thing with West Brom as well, getting involved with the Delhi Dynamos over the past year or so. The fact of the matter is, yeah, working in collaboration with UK Trade and Industry, the New Delhi government, and the University of Wolverhampton on a grassroots initiative, taking football to children at more than 2,000 schools in the wider Delhi region. It's brilliant because again, 2,000. Aiming at more than 2,000 schools in the wider Delhi region. Imagine there's 1,000 kids per school there. Again, it's one of them ones where there is a potential massive talent pool there, and if you develop it right, and I was talking to one of the Ibis Eagle Sixers about this, Mr. Michael Phillips. I was actually talking to him over the weekend, and it was like, after the Eagles game, and we were like, you know what, one thing that's not done well in this country is talent development, because talent gets fast-tracked way too quickly. They get fast-tracked, they get rushed. So the fact of the matter is, as an initiative, it's brilliant. The partnership between West Brom and Delhi Dynamos is absolutely brilliant. And casting a mind back to a premiere, an ad hoc films premiere a few years ago that myself and the Gman actually attended. Was it Sleeping Giant, an Indian football story, where QPR tried to, because of Tony Fernandez and others and their links to the Asian region, it was one of them ones where it's like QPR, I think, might have done it a bit half-baked, but the ideas were there, trying to set up roots over in Asia. Now, one thing that actually jumps out to me, which I'm surprised actually no one's mentioned, we've discussed before on Pitch Talk videos, youtube.com/Pitch Talk. We've discussed on PT on the road videos about the lack of Asians, especially British Asians, in football. West Brom's initiative with the Delhi Dynamos and China trying to become a football superpower could turn that completely on its head. Because remember, these are two different parts of Asia, China and India. Two different parts of a massive continent. And ironically enough, two of the biggest populations in the world, let alone in Asia. So it is one of them ones. I love the plans. I mean, targets having at least 20,000 football training centres and 70,000 pitches in place by 2020. It's just one of them ones. It's just ensuring there is one football pitch for every 10,000 people by 2030. The fact that they've got short, medium, and long-term targets. The men's football team should become one of the best in Asia, and the female football team should be ranked as a world-class team by 2030. So that's essentially giving 14 years for that plan. And by 2050, China being a first-class football superpower that contributes to the international football world, you look at 2050, that's 34 years away. So one plan is looking 14 years, the other is looking 30 years. And RFA, their idea of long-term is 12 years, if that. So I like the way China have dropped this. I really hope they stick to it, because they've got a massive opportunity. As said, just based on pure numbers alone, in terms of population, if they can get 50 million of China's 1.357 billion people playing football in 4 years, and at least 10 to 20 million of that can be quality players, they've got a real good opportunity. They've got a real good opportunity for their league to develop. They've just got a genuinely great opportunity there. And same with West Brom and the Delhi Dynamos. There is a great opportunity. And this partnership, I love that partnership. Because at the end of the day, and as Gezzie Fizzle said, it's a case of what motivates sports and fitness do as well. Stuff in the local communities, but it's not just about football, it's about developing the communities. And one of the major phrases that came out from the Delhi Dynamos, where is it? There was one, yeah. Ultimately, we want to develop homegrown talent who can go and become the next household name in world football. To do that, you need to develop football at the grassroots level. A tree cannot grow without strong roots. And I'm glad that West Brom and Delhi Dynamos are realising this early. They are realising it early and they're committing to it early. It's one thing to realise something, knowing is half the battle. But going out and changing it and making solutions, I love both of these initiatives on a personal note. I think are absolutely fantastic. I really do. These are fantastic. And as I said, China are aiming. Becoming. Look at that. They're aiming to become. They're aiming to become a first-class football superpower that contributes to the international football world by 2015. They're not saying we want to win a World Cup. They're saying we want to contribute to the international football world. So they want to become a powerhouse. They're not saying, oh yeah, we just want to win a World Cup and stop in there. Because that's just an end game. It's one of them ones. They're looking a lot further ahead. And bear in mind, 2050, that's another 34 years. So hey, props to China on that. Like that. The Chinese Football Association, totally. If you can keep corruption out of your game and develop it properly, there's a really great opportunity there. Really great opportunity. And with the Chinese Super League kind of making their moves now, makes it even more interesting as well. Because the moves they're making in terms of signing like guys like Ramirez, signing guys like Ramirez, Alex Teixeira, among others, it gets people talking about them, it gets people noticing them. But it looks like they're not just in it for the short term, which originally a lot of people were questioning, are they just in it for the short term? So I like the plans that China have got. I just hope they stick to them and they commit to them. Really hope so. Really, really hope so. They're great initiatives. Great initiatives. Really, really do like it. I'm a fan. I am personally a fan. Yeah, definitely a fan. But hell, it's one of them as well. You know what? It is one of them. I mean, I said the importance of grassroots football we've mentioned on a number of occasions on PTLIVE shows, videos, and elsewhere. So that goes without saying, but a tree can't grow without strong roots. Like that as a phrase. it's one of them. That's just the way. That's the way it needs to be. That's the way it should be. Is one of them was make sure your roots are strong, then you can build. And you can build upon that and make a strong, lasting impression, let alone a strong, long-lasting game.